Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Raised Rightish podcast. I'm Sav, and this is my dad.
Hello.
Some people bond over hobbies. We bond over long conversations that turned into debates.
Yeah, we realize we have a lot of stories and differences, but a lot of things as I've grown her up, we've got along and have fun doing things together and talking about certain things.
We kept talking, and we had these thoughts that possibly we're not the only ones dealing with this.
So we decided to go ahead and start recording and sharing it with everybody that wants to see our podcast, and we hope that you continue to watch more episodes as we develop them.
All right, so the first segment of our first episode is going to be growing up in different generations. As you could probably obviously tell, me and my dad are not the same age. That would be kind of odd and kind of weird. But I am 21 and he is
45 going young.
yeah, love the balls, Dad. Anyways, we are going to talk about some ways that my dad lived during his generations of growing up because it definitely was completely different than mine. And I just kind of want to hear what it was like for him living in the life of the 80s and then being a teen in the 90s and then becoming a young adult and a dad in the early 2000s.
It's
So,
definitely a different lifestyle growing up. Yes, like you said, in the '80s, you were great. You know, born and raised in the 2000s, late 2000s, going to 2010s, and now we're in the year 2025. Um, Obviously, schools were different. Technology was either limited or not too much around to how we meet people, friends, and all that good stuff.
let's go ahead and let's talk about some of the interesting aspects of things that I think about constantly from the year of 2025 to the early 90s and the early 80s, the technology.
Mhm.
I grew up with an iPod and I now always have a phone in my hand, most like a lot of kids growing up now, or just a lot of young adults and a lot of people nowadays. We all have smartphones. We all rely off of a smartphone. But growing up, you didn't have this tiny little brick and control your entire life. You controlled your entire life.
No, we were definitely way more into imaginations. Our mind is what created a lot of things that you would probably see what technology brings to offer these days. So, I mean, we had things, such things growing up like Etch a Sketch and, Crayola. We definitely would grow up to watch cartoons every morning and all those kind of things. I know you experienced some of that as a kid growing up. A
Yeah.
lot of it's faded off. We want to discuss that over time and discuss a lot of the differences, like we said, how it was from even simple things like the media, growing up listening to radio and television, and that being a thing. And we could even go into, especially like television, which I think is very funny these days. It's almost kind of like it's getting a little bit less people watching TV, and that was such a big thing a long time ago. But we can also go into how a television was a long time ago, how big they were to what they are now. And then now you can almost see that on your smartphones, like what you're talking about. So it's going to be very fun to talk about a lot of episodes in the future between us and all of the things that were so different about us growing up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's take another aspect of when you were growing up. When you went to school, what was your lunches like? How long did y'all get to have?
So growing up as a kid, definitely lunches were you went through the line, and it was probably a poor quality of food when you look at it compared to how much more we concentrate on the food quality and how healthy it is and what we want to feed our kids and all that kind of stuff.
How nurturing it actually is? Yeah.
Exactly. We would have the recess. That was a big thing growing up as a kid. Not sure. I think you had recess growing up, didn't you?
We did have recess, but I believe it stopped.
Transitions normal when you get to the middle school where they start having sports. When the girls can play volleyball, boys can play mostly football, and all the other sports coming together. Yeah, you do tend to lose the recess part. That's kind of the nature. But with going back to school lunches, I mean, we definitely had it kind of set. It was, like we had the milk cartons, the small little milk cartons, and things like that. I'm not even sure if it's even like that anymore these days in school. We would.
Did you okay, that this is I'm so sorry to interrupt. This is a genuine question.
Mhm.
Did you have missing people in your milk cartons? Or
Um,
was that just like a thing?
no, so on the milk cartons, I think it was a thing that was a long time ago, on the ones you would buy at the store.
Mm,
As a kid, we never really saw that, here in the area.
okay.
So,
I just wondered if you ever experienced that firsthand.
no.
Because imagine you're just like going to lunch one day, you hate math class, you're starving, and you're just like, let me get some chocolate milk. And you go and you sit down. You're looking at all your friends. You're having a great time. You're eating your, I don't know, puppy chow or whatever they feed you in school. And you look up and you're like, oh my God, is that Timmy's face in the milk carton? And you're just like, Timmy?
We
And you look around and Timmy is nowhere to be seen. And the dots connect and you're like, oh my God, what if I'm next? Like, that's terrifying because you never know what happened to Timmy. Maybe Timmy ran away.
Mhm,
Maybe Timmy just didn't want to go to school that day. Who
mhm.
knows? But Timmy was not there and he was on a milk carton, which means something bad probably happened.
No, no, for sure. I mean,
I'd be stressed out.
we did have, TV growing up. It was not too bad. It was public television, and so the one show I remember growing up a lot to watch was Unsolved Mysteries,
Oh, yeah.
and things like that. So I think the show was trying to make a comeback recently. Don't know exactly how it did. I think I kind of watched bits and pieces. Really never caught my attention as it did, many years ago and things like that. Obviously, as a kid, we were always growing up outside, playing with our neighbors and friends and things like that. Now, of course, times have changed. I think kids still do, but you got parents a lot more scared of it all. But as
Yeah.
in your lunches, I mean, it definitely was very social, a little bit more disciplined a long time ago. I never participated, and I don't ever remember seeing food fights.
Oh, yeah.
So
I never experienced a food fight either.
that's good. That's good. I mean,
I mean, family wise, y'all would smash cake into my face on my birthdays. That's as far as the food ever got fought. That's the furthest.
yeah. So I mean, that was pretty much it. Looking at how we were as a kid, and that kind of sort of thing. But yeah, we would get your basic pizzas and chicken nuggets and milk was your drink. I even think at one point it was pretty much that was like the only thing you could get. I think probably as you went through it, you had a little more options, just milk and some things like that.
I have another question. It's
Hmm.
kind of vague, but also kind of not because of everything that people go through nowadays and why
Hmm.
and a lot of entertainment. But anyways, did you ever have your own small group of like little friends that you would all go hang out, go cause mischief together, go
Hmm.
do things, but anytime, grandma looked at you, it was always you, that person, that person, and that person. Did you ever have that?
Yeah, as in certain friends growing up for
Because
sure.
I know that you were there when you saw me and when I went through all my phases and I had
Hmm.
all my friends. So I know you know who like kind of a vague grasp of who I'm talking about. But I wonder if you ever experienced something like that, having those friends and
Hmm.
going out and doing those things.
Yeah, I mean, as I grew up, you had friends that you hung out with, you got along with more, probably had classes together.
Yeah, we had a lot of classes together. Well, that and we just went to the same high school.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think that having gone to the same middle school and high school
Hmm.
kind of helped with our bond, I guess you
And,
could say.
and that's amazing to talk about that. You can relate how you went to school and as you transitioned from elementary to middle to high school was the same thing I did. You had friends and you continue to remember like, hey, I hung out with this person, and hey, it's good to see you again. Let's continue to hang out. We have classes together, and then you're eating lunch together, and whatever else is all in the middle.
Hmm.
So that's a great feeling to know that that's kind of the same things. We're all in that position, and they continue to be that way.
Right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I now only keep in touch with one person that
Mhm.
I went to school with,
Mhm.
and that person didn't even graduate at the same year that I did. So,
Mhm.
we're in completely different classes, but that's still just one person that I
Mhm.
decided, like, okay, this person I've realized is a cool person that I can keep in my life forever,
Mhm.
and I've just kept a hold of that person
Mhm.
till all this time. And it'll be 10 years in September that we've been friends, which is really cool, and I keep
Mhm.
hoping and praying that it'll be 10 years plus.
Mhm.
But I think it's really cool that we can make these bonds so young, and some of them don't last.
Mhm.
Some are learning experiences.
Mhm.
Some you might have to go through in order to realize that some things don't work out the way that you intend, or
Mhm.
you really, really, really want it work one way, but you have to come to the understanding that it might not. But I
Right.
think with having those relationships so young, it
Mhm.
gives you a better understanding of what life is going to be like in the future when you're finding, a partner, when you're going through a job, when
Mhm.
you're going through everyday day to day.
And like growing up, um, it's like obviously, as you know, technology was very limited, and now you have the social media,
Mhm.
and that you can find your ex classmates on there, even people who've moved away.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy thing that we would have never thought going, in the 80s and 90s, and to say, hey, in the future, I'm going to be able to check on an ex classmate and see how they're doing. And it is amazing to see that you can do that now. And obviously, a lot of people put pictures, their profile pictures, or even their cover pictures, or whatever they do, to show like they're married now or kids, and kind of show a little bit of what they are and what happened to them. That's a huge thing. And it's like I said, you always kind of wonder. You'll see people move out and do their own thing, not staying in the small town you might have once grew up on, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
So,
yeah. I mean, I definitely do think that social media gives you that reach.
speaking of school lunches, do you remember how much your school lunch was the last time you had to take one in high
Um,
school?
so I was actually part of the free lunch program because I have a single mom. So yeah. Um
Well, let's talk about how much it was then, even though you didn't have to pay for
yeah, even though I didn't have to pay for it, I'm pretty sure it was about $2 to $3. But here's the thing. This is what they would do. This is okay. I just knocked the microphone. I'm gonna get very close and talk to you guys and listen to the disrespect that they put on to us,
it.
because I will forever have beef with these school lunches and the way that they,
Mm-hmm.
when you didn't have money in your account, a lot of these kids that couldn't be part of the free lunch program because
Mm-hmm.
their parents made, well over the amount.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have money in your account that day, they would give you a singular, the Texas toast that you gave me earlier. Imagine pieces of white bread.
Mm-hmm.
Fake. Fake white bread. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The outside band of the bread,
Mm-hmm.
the chewiest bread that you've
Mm-hmm.
ever tasted. Didn't know bread was supposed to be chewy. Like, you bite it, you could stretch it. It's got a good pull. Okay?
Wow.
It's toasted to hide the fact that the cheese inside definitely came from what was not a cow.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where it came from. Definitely not a cow. Um, and they would give you that, a
Mm-hmm.
singular grilled cheese sandwich, and then I believe that it was like an applesauce, like a little cup of applesauce.
Mm-hmm.
If you were lucky, they'd let you get the milk, but I think sometimes they would even look at you and say, "No, you don't get milk." And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, I didn't know Sally couldn't grow her bones. I didn't know that the whole got milk poster on the wall was redundant. It was for no reason because Sally ain't got no milk. Okay, Sally's sitting there in the corner with her fake grilled cheese,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's got to tell mom that she needs $3 for school lunch tomorrow. Which now mom's got to go to the ATM, which is even more convenient to all
Mm-hmm.
these parents.
You know what's pretty crazy? I remember growing up, it was the same thing. You had students out there that that had assistants, that got free lunches and stuff, and I didn't ever understand it all too well.
Mhm.
I understand a lot more now. But it's wild that I guess the people I was around, we never judged you based off of that,
Yeah.
and never thought to say, "Hey, that well, why are you eating free lunches?" And I mean, maybe it might have popped up here and there, but we never really judged them on that.
Yeah.
It was our friends are our friends, and we support them in that kind of way. I'm not sure if it was the same way when you were going to school, or if it was like kind of you're judged because of that.
I would say personally, people never really, I would make fun of. People would never really do that. I think it was more of the fact of social media.
Mm,
I wondered a lot watching movies and TV shows where it was an older generation, being a
mhm,
teenager and you're a kid watching this
mhm,
and you're seeing these kids get bullied,
mhm,
but they don't realize that with that bullying, it's always subject to change with the fact that the people are changing.
right.
So even though they were showing us kids being bullied, physically, being stuffed in lockers, being yelled at, yada, yada, yada,
Mhm,
personally, that's not what I felt like a lot of my peers and I dealt with
mhm,
bullying wise. Our bullying was a lot through technology because these people could make who knows how many accounts
mhm,
and, reply all these things on
mhm,
your social media account. Or if you just make one person mad,
mhm,
they can go and report all of your accounts for no
mhm,
reason and then make all of your stuff go away.
mhm,
And, it's a very thin and thick cycle
mhm,
of going through and having technology and being young and realize what it actually means to have a social media page.
mhm,
And a lot of kids take it for granted. A lot of kids when I was young had a Finsta, and that was
mhm.
called a fake Instagram. And basically what we would do is we would have our real Instagram that would have all of our parents, all of our family members, and then we would have our Finsta, which would be our real Instagram. That would
Mhm,
be the thing that we were on constantly.
mhm.
And I'll have Dad, unfortunately, you never had access to my Finsta.
No.
But I deleted it once I was like in high school because
Mhm,
eventually I grew up and I realized, oh, we're actually like grown adults now. There's no
right.
reason to be doing little silly things like this because there's no reason to. And we all go to school with each other. We all
Mhm,
know each other.
mhm.
There's a lot going on.
So going to the bully side of it all, um, we talked about that, and I'll just say we definitely it was an in-person thing,
Hmm.
bullying each other, and you might have seen that in some older movies. And the one movie I was just watching had a character named Biff that was bullying. If you know what movie I'm talking about, then
If you know, please comment down below.
please. So. And it's funny because you're talking about cybering and how I think that changed. So that's a big difference in how we grew up. And then the one thing that I think is hilarious is I think the parents or the people now my age that have kids and they're getting bullied, they're mad. Why are you bullying my child? And I'm like, well, look how funny karma has a way to strike itself back, doesn't it? So,
And it's really funny because some of those parents were bullies in high
that's what I'm
school.
talking about.
They didn't understand that thin line of like,
No.
hey, these are real people.
Hmm.
These people are going to grow up
And especially
just like you.
if their child has like not emotional problems, but they can't stand up for themselves, maybe they're the little pipsqueak that they were, that they used to bully when they were younger, and now their
Exactly.
child is getting bullied.
Exactly. And it's sad to see that, instead of them picking them up and encouraging them and be like, hey, just stop this overall, they're like, no, I'm going to stand up for my kid
Hmm.
because this is happening to my kid. Well, it shouldn't be happening in general.
Hmm.
If this was a problem back then, it's going to be a problem now,
Hmm. Yeah.
A, a few different filters on top of the problem isn't
Hmm.
going to change the fact that it's still happening and that it's happening in different ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess the number one thing that I would say that we could say we agreed on that we did together was having friends that when you went from one school to another, which was just is phenomenal that it still is around. But honestly, like the biggest difference that you had is like you said, cyberbullying. To me, it was like the bullying was like in person and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, school is definitely is there together. So that's something that we do. So, well, I guess Savannah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And
All right, everyone. So this is it for our final episode our first episode. This is the final.
Yes.
Welcome to it. Anyways, we just wanted to give you a small little snippet of what our next episode is going to be about. Dad, I wanted to be honest with you and let you know this next episode is going to cover some hard topics, okay? Going to cover adulthood, being an adult, because I don't like it and I just got here. The next one, we're going to be talking about boundaries. What were the different types of boundaries that you had to set as a person, to parents, family-wise, friendship-wise, Let me know how Dad was able to set your boundaries. We're talking about communication, not just social media, being able to look someone in their eye and talk to them and have a full-on conversation and see what they've learned by the end of that conversation. I just think that would be really fun and really awesome for us to talk about our experiences, because I have definitely gone through a few weird experiences with just formal communication myself. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's tuning in to our first episode, and thank you for being so patient for this long-awaited podcast. It's been a lot of work, and I appreciate the patience for all of you, for I am the one doing all of this.
Thank you, everybody, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I don't think the subscription's going to cost anything. We're definitely having fun with this podcast. We love that you're joining and watching it. And looking forward to you guys watching the next one.
If there's anything that you guys want us to talk about next, if you have any comments, concerns, anything that you feel you want to share, go ahead and drop it down below in the comments section so that we can keep in touch with you guys. But other than that, thank you guys so much for tuning into our first episode.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See y'all later.